So welcome everybody to the Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ Scholarship Dinner. I hope all of you had made something scrumptious to eat. I'll be honest, I probably won't eat till it's over. But we wanted to keep as much of the atmosphere of what we usually do as we possibly could, so it would be wonderful if you actually ate. Wanted to give you a reminder to keep your mic and your videos off unless you're actually speaking. And I cannot start without thanking Wayne Abler, who is our tech guru, and is going to make everything run unbelievably smoothly. So thank you so much, Wayne.
Oh, you bet. No pressure.
So my name is Liz Cannon, and I direct our LGBTQ+ Resource Center here on campus. And I'm really excited. I don't know if you all can see the really cool t-shirt I have on. So we have this wonderful apparel that we have been wearing specifically for this particular 10th annual scholarship dinner. The cool thing I have to announce tonight is that we have to date given out 15 scholarships and that we have raised almost $35,000. And also wanted to remind everybody that my pronouns are AM and airs. I'm going to now turn it over to my cohort who will welcome you as well.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Liz. My name is Philip Marshall. I'm the principal at Webster Stanley Middle School here in the area school district. I've had the pleasure of co-emceeing with Liz a number of times over the last 10 years, and she asked me back to celebrate this 10th anniversary to co-MC with her, and I was so honored to be asked, and I'm very, very happy to be here with all of you. So it is so exciting to hear the progress that we have made over the last 10 years in terms of the dollars that have been raised for this very worthy scholarship. It has been, it was a slow start at first, but to hear those numbers that Liz just shared, it's very rewarding, and I'm very happy to hear that. So welcome everyone, and we'll do our best to keep you entertained.
This program cannot happen without the effort of an amazing group of people. So I want to start tonight by thanking our Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ Scholarship Dinner Committee, our several community members, Angie Blackel, Jay Kilsdock, Jen Fors, and Nathaniel Fors, and our UW Oshkosh members, Kirsten Blackel Carlson, Matthew Reinhardt, James Kruger, and Lee Stovall.
We are excited to announce that we have raised $403.52 from the sales of our Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ scholarship t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies. We want to thank all of you so much for all who donated in this way, and we'll be advertising our scholarship through wearing our apparel.
And a special thanks goes to University Books and More, who donated the base cost of all of our apparel so that 100% of your donation could go to our scholarship fund.
So if you would still like to donate to the Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ Scholarship Fund, we are putting the link to the donation form in the chat, so please look there for it. You will also find directions for donating by either credit card or a check. We still use those, I guess. Okay, so it is my great pleasure to now turn the mic over to one of our greatest allies, and that is Chancellor Andy Levitt.
Good evening, and I'm Andy Levitt, Chancellor UWO, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. Thanks to everyone for making time to be a part of this year's Harvey Milk Dinner. It's a little different, but you're here, and that's what matters. I want to say that I'm also so glad that we have together been able to keep events like this thriving as we navigate the pandemic. Harvey Milk was a champion. He was a model of resilience. He had so many things thrown at him, so many forces pushing it back against him. We feel these kinds of forces this year too, particularly folks grappling with injustice and isolation. But I want you all to know that you've got an ally, a friend, and a home at UWO. Harvey Milk had a community of support, and we are yours too. We have a lot to do. We continue to challenge ourselves to make life and learning at UWO better for everyone. I'm grateful to the LGBTQIA+ students for joining me every semester for a conversation about where we are succeeding and what needs more work. This is the kind of leadership that we saw from Harvey Milk. He asked for more, for better, and for his community and the country. I also want to say I am thankful to you all for supporting our students through this tonight's event and year-round. The pandemic has been particularly brutal to students who have lost jobs and been more detached from family and friends due to distancing, illness, and loss. They need our emotional support and our financial support. So tonight, you are all stepping up to help others weather these tough times, and build a better tomorrow. With that, I'll say again that welcome to all of you, and thank you for being here tonight, and looking forward to a great program and event.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Lovett, for all you do for LGBTQIA+ students, staff, and faculty. Our next speaker is new to the UW Oshkosh community and has already had a significant impact on how we view inclusivity and diversity on our campus. It is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Demira Grady, the AVC of Inclusive Excellence, the Chief Diversity Officer, and my boss.
Hello, thank you, and welcome. I would like to say welcome on behalf of the Division of Academic Support and Inclusive Excellence. Again, my name is Demira Grady. Feel free to call me Demira, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I would like to welcome you to this annual Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ scholarship dinner. I'm sad that it's my first time attending, and we're attending virtually, but I look forward to tonight, and I look forward to the future when we're all able to come together again in person, hopefully for this event next year. I would like to take a little bit of time to just recognize and highlight both of our MCs, Liz Canyon and Phil Marshall, who both embody the activism of Harvey Milk. And I thank you for your coordination and your emceeing of this event tonight. I know it will be a great event and we will be entertained. I also want to congratulate tonight's scholarship winners. Your success is our success. And I want to say thank you to everyone present here tonight for your allyship and your support of our division, our campus LGBTQ+ center, and most importantly, our students. So again, welcome, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of events and dinner. Hopefully you have a great dinner.
Thank you so much, Demira, and I look forward to getting to meet you in person as well.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Thomas Wolf. He is the Interim Director of University Books and More importantly, the first program assistant at the LGBTQ+ Resource Center. If I start listing everything that Thomas has done for LGBTQIA+ students on campus, we will be here probably all night. So Thomas is going to tell us a little of the history of our Harvey Milk commemorative dinner. Thomas.
Welcome. Thank you, Phil, for that introduction. I am Thomas Wolf. My pronouns are he, him, and his. So Liz asked me to talk a little bit about the history of, or sort of how we came up with the Harvey Milk commemorative dinner. Before I do, real quick, I'd like to ask everybody to have in their thoughts a founding member of the Harvey Milk Committee, Ben Grisby, who unfortunately has been in and out of the hospital with problems to COVID, and he is yesterday was flown from Appleton to Milwaukee as his condition has gotten worse. So anyway, so moving on. It's not necessarily a glamorous story. When we were in our well, I think we were still in our first year of the center. At that time, I was Liz's assistant at the LGBTQ+ Center. This was back when Liz was literally in a closet and my cubicle was outside of that closet. And Liz and others will tell you that I am an ideas person. Oftentimes, I will send people running when they see me coming. And one day we were sitting down, I was in my cubicle and talking with Liz. We were talking about different types of things that we could do. And one of the things I said, I wish we could come up with some way of creating some sort of a scholarship for LGBTQ+ students. And the more we talked, the more it's just sort of morphed into this fundraising dinner. But we wanted it to be more than just campus community. We also wanted to kind of pull in the Fox Valley community as well. Those students eventually would come to UW Oshkosh, but high school students, as much as college students, need money to be able to go to school. Many of us know that LGBTQ+ students often do not get the financial support from their families that those who are not LGBTQ+ do, and so we wanted to at least start off with something small to help a little bit with that for them to go to school. At that time, I think still to this day, Harvey Milk was the only one who was an LGBTQ+ member that had a specific day, a national day. And so that's sort of how the idea morphed. Liz, looked at me as I talked about this with glassy-eyed, thinking, "Oh my God, how are we going to pull this off? This is way too much work to do. I've got enough to do." So she kind of gave me full rein to start moving along with this. So I literally went door to door around campus, just getting people to be a part of the committee, people to be sponsors, to support it, and it just kind of went from there. And I actually have the original program from the very first Harvey Milk with me, including the first committee members who were, and a couple of them are here tonight. But the original committee was Brian Bain, Mohammed Bey, Liz Cannon, Thomas Lee Eads, Lisa Getch, Ben Grisby, Serena Knowles, James Kruger, Gene Kwiatkowski, Phil Marshall, Bailey Murph, Joe Wiedenmeyer, myself, and Jane Whippazinski. I tell you, this was an absolutely amazing year with an amazing committee. Had so much passion to put this together and start thinking of ideas. And by the time the dinner happened, we were blown away. The sheer number of people that showed up, and from everything from the opening speakers to the very end, to our keynote speaker Mara Kiesling, it was just captivating, and it was so energizing and such a powerful evening. We knew this was going to be a signature event for the center, and it was, although I'm not sure that we thought we would be here 10 years from now, and certainly, and given away as much money as we have, and hopefully have helped plenty of students, and hopefully we help a lot more. So, but that's sort of, the idea, or how it kind of came to be in a nutshell.
Thank you, Thomas. And do keep coming up with ideas, because they always end up being amazing. Though one thing he didn't tell you, he has this trick of putting the word annual on the title of a program before we actually do it, and we know how much work it is. But once annual is there, then you have to keep doing it following years. So this is one that I can't be happy enough that we have continued. And so in this sort of realm of looking back, the idea that we are in our 10th year anniversary, Phil and I wanted to take you down sort of a little memory lane. So we put together a PowerPoint for you to watch. So our first dinner then was on May 23rd, 2011. As Thomas said, it highlighted keynote speaker Mara Kiesling, the director and founder of the National Center of Transgender Equality. And she had all of us committed to activism by the end of that weekend. Even my partner Jay, who tends to think that one activist in the family is enough. Over breakfast the next morning, Mara commented that what was missing from our event was fun, was a theme, was something that would keep the event fresh year after year.
So in case you can't tell, Liz is on the right and I'm on the left. Is that the right slide, Liz? Okay. Our
So this
Glee
is me, and this is
theme,
Phil.
what's that?
I said, this is me, and this is Phil.
Yes. Our Glee theme was a hit, and Liz still wears the tracksuit that she bought for the occasion. That year we featured the Oshkosh North female a cappella choir in our first silent auction. We also heard from speakers from the Harmony Cafe LGBT youth group. In addition, that was part of our program for the next 2 years. And our keynote speaker was Shane Wendenmeyer, the co-founder of Campus Pride. And for our first scholarship winners were Autumn Starfall and Katie Danielson.
Welcome to a night at the theater. Only time I've gotten to wear tux, and I am looking for another occasion to do so. You should have seen Phil in his magnificent white tux. Photo booth was quite the hit. And as you can see, Reeve team was at their finest. I have to just step back a minute. We could not do these dinners when we do them on campus without the Reeve team. And so a special thanks goes out to Reeve for everything they have done for us over the years. We were entertained by Hysterical Production, a locally founded semi-professional performance company who serenaded us with Corner of the Sky from the musical Pippin and a favorite of mine, Defying Gravity from the musical Wicked. Our keynote speaker was naturally an actor, Mike Manning, known most for his performance of MTV's Real World, Washington, D.C. Our scholarship winners were Ian Unger and Riley Webster.
So debates were running hot this night as our dinner took a political turn. Representative at that time, Representative Jocasta Zamaripa, provided a vision for our future. Our scholarship winners were Micah Coates and Sally Corbett.
We went completely off script in 2015 and highlighted a knockout panel of UWO alumni. The only one I couldn't find a picture for is Tommy Bricko, class of 08. I know some of you remember Travis Swanson, class of 10, Greta Vogt, class of 07, Jack Scher, class of 09, Bailey Murph, class of 10, and Eric Koepnik, class of 07. Our scholarship winners that year were Garrett Denning and Natalie Moser.
So our theme in 2016 took a more serious tone to remember our LGBTQ youth who are homeless and to commit to doing something about it really for the first time. Our keynote speaker, Kristen Clow, was the program supervisor at Hope for Youth, a drop-in center serving 16 to 23-year-olds who were really at risk or were experiencing homelessness. Our scholarship winners that year were Cameron Warnke and Admiral Wieland. So just a nostalgic moment to remember, there was a time when we met in person, and there will be again, we know that. Our keynote speaker in 2017 was Steve Tran, whom you will be hearing from later in our program. This was the year we introduced our Harvey Milk photo backdrop. Note that Stevie is pictured here with Andy Hayes, a former member of the Harvey Milk Commemorative Dinner Committee, and the person who has raised the most money for scholarships with his outreach to businesses and his yearly matching gift. Our scholarship winners are pictured here as well, Josie Mackay and Cynthia Estrep.
The theme of our 2018 dinner was self-love and acceptance. Of course, we had to have our keynote speaker be the amazing Kathy Flores, the Anti-Violence Program Director of Diverse and Resilient. We moved our dinner from May to Pride Month that year, and we introduced a cash bar. Our scholarship winners were Zan Hamill and Aaron Wojciechowski.
The 2019 dinner moved to October that year, close to Coming Out Day, and we changed our name from the Harvey Milk Commemorative Dinner to the Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ Scholarship Dinner. Our keynote speaker was Elle Hello, whom you will be hearing from later in our program. Our scholarship winner was Christopher Shimshak. When talking about what we wanted to do at our 10th annual Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ Scholarship Dinner this year, we kept coming back to wanting to highlight our past scholarship winners. So we reached out to past winners with the option of sending us video or being on our keynote panel. Acknowledging that this is not the time to take on extra tasks, we are grateful to those who are able to contribute in some way. And we would like to start out with the video of our past scholarship winners.
Hi, my name is Natalie Mosier. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I graduated from UW Oshkosh in 2017, and I've just begun my 4th year as an elementary special education teacher in the Kimberly Area School District. I continue to support the queer and trans community as an educator by ensuring that my classroom is a safe space for students and it welcomes their unique perspectives and ideas. One way I do this is by including diverse literature in my classroom library. Books and authors such as And Tango Makes Three by Peter Parnell and Justin Richardson, The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson, and Brad Meltzer's Ordinary People That Changed the World series are awesome examples of books that portray diverse characters and that it helps to expose my students to ideas and characters that might be different from them. A second way I continue to support the queer and trans community is by dismantling ways of thinking that reinforce gender roles or heteronormativity. An example of this might be, instead of saying, "Good morning, boys and girls," I instead say, "Good morning, friends," or "Good morning, class." And I feel these small acts help to create an inclusive space for my students to explore their unique identities. As long as students know it's safe and okay to be different in my classroom, I feel successful. To this year's scholarship winners, I would like to extend a big congratulations and a thank you for all you do to support the LGBTQ+ community and to continue Harvey Milk's legacy. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Katie Danielson. I identify as a lesbian and queer. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I graduated in 2013 with a degree in social work and a minor in social justice with an emphasis on prejudice and discrimination. I went on to get my social work master's degree from UW-Madison. I graduated in 2019. I currently work as a respite provider, but I'm looking for jobs right now in a global pandemic, which is kind of difficult. Some of the ways that I am still involved with and advocate for the LGBTQIA+ community is I vote for candidates in local and national elections that support LGBTQIA+ legislation and policy, from local school board elections to president. I'm also very open in my personal life and on my social media accounts. I think it's difficult for fear and prejudice to survive proximity, and I use my privilege to be open in spaces where maybe others don't feel safe. I've seen how my openness about my relationship and my community breaks down walls for people. The advice that I would have to give for this year's winners is congratulations. I felt really honored and proud when I won, and I hope that you do too. When I won, I gave a speech that referenced how Harvey Milk was a beacon of hope. And hope is really important during difficult times, which I think 2020 is a rough year. We need hope to help motivate us, because the fight for equality and liberation will take a lifetime. And like the late John Lewis said, do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic, Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble.
That was amazing. I just get goosebumps whenever I hear what alumni are doing, especially those who have come through the center and through Oshkosh and are doing such amazing things out into the world, which is another reason why the next part of our program, we wanted to continue to highlight voices of scholarship winners. And sort of our keynote event tonight is a panel of 5 of our previous scholarship winners. We had 6, and Aaron Wojciechowski has had a situation that he's had to take care of tonight, but he wanted us to know that he is with us in spirit, and he wanted to especially tell the scholarship winners congratulations. We're going to move to our panel, and to make things easier with our panelists, I'll say your name before you talk, and then you can know sort of what the order is and not have to worry about who's going to speak and who's not. And please, of course, share your videos, and don't forget to unmic or turn on your mics when you speak. I want to start just by having you all introduce yourselves. And so let's start with Riley Webster, who was our scholarship winner in 2013.
Hi, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, okay, great. So I'm Riley. I use he, him pronouns, and I identify as gay.
And Sally Corbett, who won in 2014.
Yes, hello. My name is Sally. I identify as bisexual and non-binary. My pronouns are they, them, theirs.
Garrett Denning, who won in 2015.
Hello, my name is Garrett Denning. Pronouns are he and they, and I identify as a bisexual, politically queer trans man.
Admiral Leland, who won in 2016.
I'm Admiral, like the title. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. I identify as a non-binary trans person, and I'm super thrilled to be here today.
And Christopher Shimshock, who won in 2019.
My name is Christopher Shimshock. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I identify as a gay male.
Now the more meaty part of our, oh, did I say meaty as a vegan? I don't think I did. The more interesting parts of our question. Curious what you all are doing now, where you're working, where you're going to school, what your current passions are.
Yeah, is it me first?
Oh. It is Christopher first.
Well, I am the last year's winner. I am still at UW Oshkosh. I'm in my senior year. I graduate on May 2021. So I am super excited. Throughout my time, I have been at the Resource Center since the second I walked on campus. And I am still there. That's very exciting, Burgundy. I'm excited. I am still at the LGBT Resource Center. I have started as an intern and switched to a STEP student and now doing a work study. And honestly couldn't be more proud and thankful and grateful of the opportunities that Dr. Cannon has given me. It has helped drastically change my life. And I guess minus that, I also work another job. I serve. But mainly a lot of campus life, a lot of time at the Resource Center, and a lot of time with school and advocacy through all of that. So
Wonderful. Riley.
Yeah, so I actually just graduated a program for software engineering. So I actually start my new job tomorrow as a software engineer. Yes, I know. I'm very excited. I was like working in retail before after having worked with young people for a long time. And so when the pandemic hit, I lost my job and had the perfect opportunity to finally pursue the technology. So that is what I'm doing.
Sally.
Yes, I graduated in 2015. I live in Minneapolis. I worked as a server for a number of years at a bar in downtown, and I also work for a local nonprofit called My Sexual Organizing Project. And my serving job ended in March when COVID hit, and I recently got a couple other different jobs. I work at a dairy farm during the week, and I also just started as a ghost tour guide, and I still work for My Sexual Organizing Project. I also I practice Taekwondo as a hobby. I'm getting ready for the first test for my secondary black belt. I started doing burlesque this year, which has been really great, and so those things have been keeping me busy. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Garrett.
And so, oh boy, Liz is going to ask me when I actually graduated, which is a quandary to figure out every once in a while for anyone who knows me. I believe technically the graduation came both in 2016 and then 2018 with 2 different degrees. And then since then, I've been really the LGBTQ Resource Center has kind of led me onto the path of student affairs in general. And so I went to UW La Crosse for my master's in student affairs, which I graduated with this past May 2020, and have since been just kind of looking for a job, but also in the meantime, contact tracing for UWL and working in organizing with the community.
And Admiral.
I graduated in December of 2017, but I got to take my very last class with you, Liz, in J session for 2018, which was a delightful way to end my experience at UW Oshkosh as a student. I now am in a PhD program at Indiana University Bloomington for U.S. history. I study eugenics in the Midwest, specifically in Indiana. And as Alicia was kind enough to shout me out, I just earned my master's degree on Friday. Actually, I passed my review, so yay.
Congratulations. Wonderful, wonderful news. So you all got this scholarship for some of the activist work that you did either at Oshkosh, in your high schools, and other places. And I'm curious, are you still practicing LGBTQIA+ activism? If you are, can you talk about what you're doing? And let's start with Admiral.
So my time commitments have been much different than I had originally anticipated when entering graduate school, and because of that, I don't have a lot of contact with the LGBTQ Resource Center on campus. So a lot of my activism is actually been having like one-on-one conversations with people, a lot of one-on-one conversations with people, which one of the things that I felt really grateful for during my time at UWO was getting on board with doing SAFE trainings and T-SAFE trainings, because it allowed me to take questions and not and sort of create some distance, so I don't feel a lot of like personalization when it comes to people really just wanting information. And a lot of it has been sitting down with people who are not comfortable with my existence or people like me, and just talking through some of those really difficult things. And I've had people thank me just for the opportunity to ask those difficult questions and not have an immediate negative experience, and I understand why those experiences, why those responses might be perceived as negative. But I feel as though connecting with people in my community who have had some difficulty just understanding and really just want to be vulnerable and ask somebody who won't judge them for their ignorance, I think, has been really important for them, and I've appreciated the opportunity to do that. And then I've been volunteering and doing a couple of things in the political sphere, but nothing on campus more than just being out vocally, making sure that every class that I'm in, I'm introducing myself with my pronouns, and that even though that's a small thing and all of us who are here tonight understand that is something that should be happening regardless, it doesn't. And people have just said to me that they were so happy that I was the person who was not afraid to do that, and I just did that because it allowed them the space to be able to do that as well. And so I really resonated with the person on the video saying those little moments in their everyday life and how that is something that they take into their lives as well. And that's been something that's been really important to me.
Christopher.
I can definitely say that I continue advocacy throughout my day-to-day basis, particularly, obviously, number one, working at the LGBT Resource Center. I get to do something I love as a job every single day. So that's very passionate to me, something that's really cool. Even with this, I get to work on social media every day. That's one of my my main job, within the Resource Center is getting out, contacting people, program or doing all of our events through social media, things like that. So it's really nice to be able to interact with so many different people on a day-to-day basis and get to talk to different people and just really see who follows us, gets to interact with us. And it's really nice. And then just being involved in everything that we do, from weekly programs to our team meetings, just to getting out there and seeing what we can do. Obviously, with everything going on, there's been a lot of different things that I've been able to represent the LGBT Resource Center at, such as, protests on campus or things like that, or standing up for multiple different rights. It's something that I get to do every day. And then kind of like Admiral was saying, I get to do it on a more personal level, just in my everyday conversations. Like I said, I do serve, also to pay for my education and pay for my bills, while in school. And I work at a very conservative restaurant. And even when I was first hired there, the owner was like, hey, not to bring this up, not to be awkward, but like, you're the first gay person we've ever hired. Like, I am a little nervous, but, everybody loves you. Everybody knows you. So, I have faith here. And I get to have conversations that aren't easy on to be honest, a more regular basis than I would like to have them. But also being my true self and my authentic self. If I can do that and I can be that and I can show that, again, like Admiral was saying, it's those little things that can change somebody's day, that can change their view, that can, be able to actually have a conversation with and express who you are, what you're about, and do your best to represent the community as a whole, which is difficult to do, but, we all try in every single sense. And so I think that's probably the most important to me in advocacy. Yes, I love to, be out there with Liz and the Resource Center and our interns and Eliza and, be doing stuff. But it's really those one-on-one moments where you make a deeper connection. And, using inclusive language, obviously, if I go up to anybody, a group of people, a table, I will never introduce them, how are you guys doing, ma'am, sir, I'll definitely, again, like Admiral said, hey, friends, hey, y'all, kind of just changing it up and being polite and being respectful in that sense. But yeah, definitely something that I get to do every single day, and I couldn't be more proud to do it, so.
Liz, is it okay if I ask a question?
Sure.
Christopher, I was just curious because you said that that when they hired you, that you were the first gay person, or maybe the only gay person they knew that they'd ever hired before. Did you offer that information, or was that an assumption?
So to be honest, my roommate, she's been my best friend for 10 years. We've lived with each other for almost 6. She works there, and through that connection, I regularly ate out at the establishment and stuff like that. So I was able to get to know the manager, get to know the owner, get to know the restaurant staff, everything like that. And like many of us had just spoken about, the restaurant that I previously had worked at, which was much more conservative. And in that sense, I offered up that information because she was kind of hinting. So, but yeah, I had lost my job because they had closed down permanently. And, the manager was like, hey, I think you would actually be a really, really good fit here. And I think you would maybe be able to not shake things up, but, help our clientele expand and help them become more open. I wear a pride mask to work all the time. We just got our new ones that we got for Hope's fundraiser. And I wore that, and so it's, yeah.
That's great, Christopher. Thank you. And I think that just is a great way of illustrating how it's all about the connections and the relationships we make with people. Once they get to know us, that fear isn't maybe as strong as it was before, or the resistance. So thank you all for what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you just stated it so perfectly. Like, their fear changes, and whether it be fear or whether it be confusion or, whatever it may be, if you're able to have that personal connection, it's an inch closer to what we're working to achieve. So
Let's go to Riley.
Yeah. So I also think I'm a little different because I didn't go to UW. I did in high school for like those extra classes, but I actually went to the University of Minnesota. But because so I wanted to pursue a degree in youth studies, which was offered at the University of Minnesota. So I went there because I went into advocacy in mental health. I was working in the mental health field, specifically with teenage girls here in Minnesota at like a last chance kind of facility. So they the detention centers are going in detention centers are the LGBT young people, I guess, because we did also have like trans youth. So I was doing that for a while, but it looks like my microphone is maybe cutting. Can everybody hear me okay?
Listen out a little, like.
Yeah, so I was doing them, and I was in mental health for a while, but I stepped away from that because it became a lot. And so since then I haven't been doing much because my focus has been on getting this new because I am trying to or I guess my goal now is to open a school to like help learn coding for people who have just come out of juvenile detention, and more specifically like LGBT kids to kind of get like a better footing and work more on like reacclimation. I'm not going to go into this whole prison thing because that's a different topic. But that is my goal for now. Yeah, I mean, lately all my activism has been political, but I think that's kind of intersectioned with this as well.
And I have to say, I was so happy that you wanted to be on this panel because you are the only UW Oshkosh person who wasn't a UW Oshkosh who got the scholarship. So a special thanks to you for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Sally.
Yes, so I think the bulk of the activism I do nowadays um, is related to my job with BOP, and a chunk of what I do with BOP is like administrative stuff, like updating the membership list and sending emails and stuff like that. But another one of my primary responsibilities is education and outreach, which is one of my favorite parts of my job. I author and present a lot of workshops at like conferences and other events, and most of that content has to do with like the unique challenges like the BI plus community faces, and like the things that create those challenges, and like how mostly how like other LGBTQ organizations can be more supportive and inclusive of BI plus individuals, and why that's important for BI plus well-being and like their unique needs when it comes to access and inclusion in LGBTQ community. And I love doing that kind of work, and I've gotten to present like for all kinds of environments. And this last winter, I co-facilitated the day-long BI plus Institute at Creating Change, which was like a dream come true and a really great experience. And BOP hosts a national conference every year called Because, which stands for Bisexual Empowerment Conference, a united and supportive experience. And it's not happening this year because COVID, but I co-chaired that conference in 2017, which is a great experience. And I usually give a workshop there every year on behalf of BOP. And I really I love working with BOP because the more I do it and the more I connect with like BI plus people, and I hear things like, wow, like I'm so glad like this organization exists, and like I had no idea there was something like this for BI people, and like just like hearing other BI plus people like be excited to like have access to community is like what makes it really fulfilling for me. And also that except for me, everyone in BOP is a volunteer. Our organization is entirely volunteer run, and there are I think 4 other BI plus nonprofits in the country, and all of them are volunteer run. So any of the work that like we're able to accomplish is feels really important, and that's really encouraging for me. And I also I'm on the crew, and I direct a public access TV program called Bi Cities, which we built as the longest running show on bisexuality in the world. And we aren't shooting right now because of COVID, but we've got like an archive of websites on YouTube and the Bi Cities website. And so that's a little bit of what I do for LGBTQ plus activism, and I love it, and I want to keep doing it forever. So
That's exciting, Sally. I remember when you were on the BIPAN Poly Speakers Bureau that we started here, and to know that you're continuing and doing so much more with this work is exciting. Garrett.
So my activism is getting interesting these days, particularly in the way that like most of what I've done after UWO was in terms of my graduate assistantship with UW La Crosse in their Pride Center and working with students there. And we were able to do a number of things throughout my tenure, including like really looking at the level to which LGBTQ plus spaces have been coded as white spaces, and really help break down and decolonize that that space for queer people of color throughout our campus, as well as raising, I believe, like somewhere over $1,000 for healthcare for trans youth and trans students at UWL looking for help with medical transition, which I believe some of my students are still working with the local LGBTQ organization here in La Crosse to solidify that into like grabbing a fiscal agent and stuff like that, and doing all like the necessary like nonprofit work of it. But really helping getting that along and moving. Since I'm no longer the graduate assistant, a fair amount of my my activism there has stepped back to allow room for the next person to kind of take over and build a relationship with them, with students there. But I still have a deep connection with my students and are able to like reach out and talk to them and help them through different issues that they're facing throughout this. We actually recently just did we gathered a food drive post election for anybody who feels unsafe going out and getting their own groceries right now, so that we can just deliver that or set up a pickup for those groceries to make sure that no one feels like they have to go out into the community right now while feeling unsafe. And I've done a number of different things within local circles, within lacrosse, both in LGBTQ circles and those for particularly students and youth of color. And I think I can't really say that without also like giving major props out to like the people within my cohort in grad school, the women of color who largely have driven me in this and have led the work and allowed me to be a part of it. So.
Wonderful. I know I speak for all of us here when I say thank you all for the activism that you're continuing to do. Our next question is, how did winning the scholarship impact you? Let's start with Garrett this time.
Well, again, for those who know me, know that I have like a long tenured history with the LGBTQ+ Center. I was there when it was born, and in a way I like to think because I had I was originally at UWO from 2008 till 2010 before having to leave for some personal issues, in particular like the struggle of coming out and that pressure that was involved in that. And so coming back was a very big choice, a very personal choice, and a very hard choice for me, sorry, financially speaking. And so when it came to getting this like getting the scholarship, this was crucial for me and being able to continue with my semester. I remember like having something come up with the number of credits that I had that I didn't know that I was going to get any kind of financial aid outside of the scholarship. And while we were able to work that out and things did work out for me, where I was able to get other financial aid, it was the scholarship that kind of like helped me like through, knowing that I'd at least have that much to get me by while we were figuring that out. So I'd say it was crucial for me.
Admiral.
I was actually just, I listened to the speech I ended up giving the year after I won, which was this retrospective, and what I had highlighted at that time, it was being recognized and being seen by the community, not just at UW Oshkosh, but the greater Oshkosh community. It was such a moment of feeling I was worthy to be there and worthy to be studying. I come from a first generation family, so I'm a first generation college student, and that imposter syndrome is already there. And I think queer, and I was kind of selectively out at the time. I was the most out I had ever been, but I was still selectively closeted. It was a real testament from the community and from the committee and the school to say that like I belong here and that I had worth, and my future was something that was sort of deemed like valid and worthwhile by an outside force. And I think that you can tell yourself that enough, but when it's reflected by people that you respect and love and care about, it was really a moment that that stood out to me as finally feeling as though like I had arrived in a lot of ways. So it was a lot of intangible, I think, but incredibly meaningful moments for me. Being awarded the scholarship and then being able to give the gift of congratulating the next person who won it. Josie was that year. So yeah, it was that came back to me very clearly today as I was preparing to be here. So I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be here, and thank you all for seeing me then and now.
We see you. Christopher.
That is, you're gonna make me cry, Admiral. That's honestly I have the same exact response. I guess at the time, I was doing a lot of LGBT advocacy, and compassion fatigue is real. So even though you don't do all the work you do for recognition, obviously it is something that mentally is beneficial to you. And it was just kind of like, is this what I want to do? I had just switched majors from biology to international studies to go to law school. So it was a really huge transitional period in my life. And I switched from, this love of animals, which I still have, to like, I really want to focus on humans and human rights and LGBT individuals, specifically worldwide. And I thought, like, does it matter? Does what I do matter? Like, is it worth it? Is it paying off? Am I seeing changes, specifically long-term changes? And it got to a point where, I kind of got really depressed and, thought, is this path I'm following what I feel I should be following the right path to do? And upon, once I heard that I had received it, every doubt, everything that I was feeling was like completely vanished. And just put me at a point where I'm like, I definitely know what I'm doing, and this is the right thing that I should be doing. And even if I have any doubt in my mind, there's a huge group of family that loves me and really appreciates me, and our community as a whole. And it brought so much confidence back into my life, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Riley.
Yeah, so I guess oh wow, these words are not coming out. Just like, I guess, Admiral and Christopher, like, it was kind of like an affirmation for me. So like, I came out when I was 13, and I attended Kimberly High School, which is like 99% white and like 1% also gay. Like, I was literally the only gay kid out in my entire high school. And I was just trying to make it through the day most of the time. But it was kind of just like a validation, I guess, of like that my existence is like okay. And, that like being myself is okay. And on like another level, I grew up in a very like poor household and a very broken household, and so it also allowed me to get out, which is something that I desperately did, because I would not have made it if I stayed. You know, so it helped me get out here to Minneapolis, you know, and like pursue my dreams, and it helped me learn to be, you know, more authentic and more openly me, you know, like very much in the spirit of Harvey, just like being unapologetic, and you know, and like everywhere I go, I'm basically just like, I'm gay, like, ah! You know, like screaming it from the top of my lungs, like, literally. And I wouldn't have had that ability, you know, if I hadn't been able to come to Minneapolis. And so, you know, although I didn't go to UWO, it has given me that I could never be thankful enough for.
Sally.
So certainly, as a financial resource, the scholarship made a huge difference for me. But I think sort of the more like lasting impact of being a scholarship recipient is I'm relating to a lot of what some of the other panelists are saying about like feeling the recognition and the affirmation, like as a part of this community and as like a queer person in the community. I think was a more significant impact for me, and I think it was an important step on like the path to where I am now in my activism, and I don't think I necessarily would have like ended up here without some of the things, without the things surrounding being involved in the Harvey Milk scholarship and at UWO and being a student at UWO, and it meant a lot to me to be recognized in that way, like as someone who like Admiral said, like was selectively out at the time and like experiencing some imposter syndrome and some like internalized biphobia and like feelings of like being not queer enough that like a lot of BIPOC people experience, and so that was really important for me, and it still means a lot to me, you know, several years later.
Thank you all. I've got one more question for you. What would you like to say to students interested in applying for the scholarship and to our current scholarship winners today? Let's start with Sally.
Well, first of all, congratulations, and I mean, I think just let's see, what's the word? Like acknowledge yourself for like the hard work you've done and like where you are, and how you've gotten here. And like I can't imagine what it's like to be a student right now, like in the midst of a global pandemic. Like that's so many more layers of difficult, like it's got to be so many more layers of difficult on top of like what it was like for me being a student, like in a non-pandemic world. And like you work, like, you know, you've got a lot of challenges ahead of you right now, and you're doing great. And for folks like considering applying for the scholarship, kind of like, you know, I would say like, well, thinking like back to myself, I would tell myself like, don't get in your own way, like don't second guess yourself, don't listen to like the imposter syndrome voice in your head, and activism can look like a lot of different things, and it's all valid. It doesn't have to look like being like the chair of the board of some organization, or like, you know, the president of that club or whatever. Like activism can look so many different ways, and they're all important. And so I think just, you know, recognize what you do and for what it is.
Garrett.
Okay, and so I've been trying to think about this a lot, but this is the one I have the least figured out answer here. So bear with me. This might be a little bit of word salad, but I think first of all, like to the winners, absolutely congratulations. You have earned this. Do not second guess that for 1 second. You have earned this. This is part of what you do. This is part of who you are, and you're now part of a circle. Not that you weren't before, but you are now part of a circle of amazing people who do amazing things, and I know that because they have shaped every part of my life to this moment. As far as like future, anybody in the future who wants to think about applying, I'd say apply. To Sally's point, there is so much in terms of like imposter syndrome, so much that could be keeping you from that. And I just want to say that's not you. Okay, that is gatekeeping activism. That is telling us what activism is supposed to look like, and you not feeling like you fit that mold. You are not what's wrong. That idea of what that mold is supposed to look like is what's wrong. I have a saying that I have with my students, a joke that I have with my students of there's more than one way to punch a Nazi, right? And you've got to find out your own way to find that activism within you, what works within you. But don't for 1 second think that that activism is not valid, that activism is not worthy of this scholarship, because 100% it is.
Admiral.
Yeah, I'm letting things sort of sift in my mind. Yes, first of all, congratulations to you. This is incredibly well-deserved, well-earned. There's absolutely a reason why you were selected. You have immeasurable gifts, and some that will only continue to reveal themselves in time. And I hope that the scholarship allows you the resources, the time, the space in order to continue doing the work that you do in the world, and that you are valuable and needed. In the same vein as Garrett, I would say that everyone, I think, is doing work at this moment that is activism, whether you are having those conversations that are very difficult, whether you are organizing a protest, whether you are helping people find mutual aid in order to survive this incredible, horrifying moment in time. Those are all activist acts, you know, and carrying yourself and your community forward, like, is enough in this moment. You don't have to be doing all of the things and putting yourself either in harm's way or exhausting yourself to the point of not being able to take care of yourself. So I'd say remember to continue to take care of yourselves as well, and take care of the people who you care about, your community, your chosen family, your bio family, the people around you. And I would say for those who are considering applying, just apply. The worst that can happen is that you don't receive this, but you don't get to hear why necessarily. You're not in the room. Like, I've been watching a lot of Hamilton, which, like, right, is problematic on its own, but like, shoot your shot, you know, like, it's the thing that that I feel like we have to do as queers, like, stepping outside of our door every day, being who we are in the world, even in places that don't want us there, right? And I think you are filled with everything that you need right now in this moment. And yeah, and apply, because I think that, like Garrett said, you have a community waiting to recognize the work you're doing, the person you are, and the reasons why you deserve to be here.
Christopher.
Well, I was finally beginning to stop crying, and then everybody was so inspirational. Literally, I'm just going to keep this short. What everybody just said, what Sally had said, what Riley had said, what Garrett had said, what Admiral had said. Live your truth, know who you are, and don't let anybody stop you in your, in your tracks. You're never going to achieve something that you don't take a shot at. So take a shot at it, and if you don't succeed and you're able to try again, try again. But continue doing what you think is best, and continue to influence everybody else around you, because that's what's most needed. Those applying careers, congratulations. You are definitely our future leaders. And I know we all look forward to working with each and every single one of you come due time. So.
And Riley.
Yeah, so it's funny, what I had written down is essentially what everyone said. But just like kind of reiterating it, is that like activism doesn't have to be this loud. It doesn't have to be like a national thing. It can be having those tough conversations like Chris, or like correcting pronouns that you hear, or just like, being yourself in a world that tells you not to be. I think there is activism that we kind of just gloss over. And it doesn't have to be this like out loud crazy thing for you to be making a difference. And I guess to those applying, I would say there's a quote that I absolutely came up with that is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yeah, thank you. I know, inspirational. I came up with it myself. You can quote me in your books if you'd like. But honestly, you're not going to get a yes if you don't apply. So, but yeah, I mean, literally everything I had written down was good, has already been said. So I would keep that short and sweet.
I have to say that it was always an honor to work with each of you while you were on campus. You inspired me. I was going to say daily, but I want to say by the minute. And tonight, again, you have inspired me. And I hope you have inspired everybody in this room. I think you have. I think we're going to leave here and we're going to do the activism that you have called us to do.
I just want to echo exactly what Liz said, and I also just want to think about, what Harvey Milk would, if he was alive today, what he would think of the political climate right now, what's happened to our Supreme Court, and the activism that he would be doing right now. And it's so inspiring to see that we have people like our guests on the panel tonight that are doing such great work. Our work is not going to end. We have to keep going and going and going and pushing forward. And I'm just so happy that we have brave and courageous people out there fighting the good fight every single day. And so I'm so thankful for your work that you're doing. In addition to reaching out to past scholarship winners, we also reached out to past keynote speakers and would now like to share the video of those who were able to contribute.
My name is El Halo. I'm an LGBTQ health equity advocate. I was the 2019 Harvey Milk keynote speaker, the last before the pandemic has changed the ways we celebrate and share space. Congratulations. I just wanted to share a few takeaways from my experience last year. The first is a memory. I worked hard on my speech preparation and I was nervous. I also had a unique journey to that stage in terms of my own efforts to pursue higher education. I brought my family to the ceremony, and I don't think I really understood what I was doing in the space until I came down from the podium and saw last year's recipient, Aaron, crying with his family. Sometimes you are there just to hold space, uplift, and be a witness for someone else. Secondly, I want you to be affirmed in your body, in your identity, in your gifts, your worth, your skills, and expertise. Giving this keynote became a part of that journey for me. Speaking about my identity, work, and education journey is a part of my affirmation. It's a part of growing and healing. There's so much we have to face no matter where we come from. Don't spend the valuable life that you have wrestling with other people's expectations or judgments. You have everything you need within. You are strong. We have already survived our deepest, darkest moment. Right now, each of us, that moment you thought would break you, that moment you thought would be the end, we made it. We are still here. Lastly, set your intentions, be true to them, and you will always be where God wants you. Honor where you come from as a part of the way you look at success. And remember that community service and community fellowship with others, is a necessary part of living a good life. Thank you.
Good evening. It's so great to join you again this evening, albeit virtually. My name is Stevie Tran, and I'm attorney now based out of Phoenix, Arizona, where I very recently started up my own law practice dedicated to the queer community here in the desert. I want to take a moment to congratulate this evening's Harvey Milk Scholarship recipients. Each of you have demonstrated an incredible ability to impact your campus and local communities as an emerging queer leader. I hope you take time to reflect on the strengths and skills that you have gained up to this point. Just remember, as you contemplate what the future holds, that you are more prepared than you think to handle any challenge that you face. You have overcome odds and statistics that say that you should have quit school a long time ago. You have accessed higher education, learning to proudly claim a part of your identity that society still seeks to shame. Never discount the work that you have put in to overcome these challenges. These are the tools that will empower you to keenly understand the needs of others, especially those from diverse experiences, regardless of who they love or what they look like or who they are. Now, more than ever, we need your voice, your perspective, and your energy. Congratulations again on a well-deserved honor.
We have finally reached the moment you have all been waiting for. We would like to announce our 2020 LGBTQ+ Harvey Milk Scholarship winners. I would like to ask Ian Barry to turn on air video. It is my great honor to award Adrian McNary with the 2020 Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ Scholarship. Adrian is a history and broad-field social science major, an intern at the LGBTQ+ Center with the OSC for Rainbow Alliance for Hope, and is a Q+ Unity executive member. Adrian focused on activism throughout our education, writing a blog for our high school health class about LGBTQ+ identity, joining an activism class in college, serving on many panels for classes as a queer trans person, and training EAA front desk employees to recognize human trafficking. Dr. Buchanan tells us that what A really remembers about Adrian's contributions is how A used the LGBTQ+ Research Center's Blackboard to create activism through art. Whether it was a queer character to inspire us or a call to action, Adrian alters our thinking throughout the semester. And Rich Marshall tells us Adrian led numerous education sessions at Rainbow Alliance for Hope meetings, including one on asexual aromantic identity awareness and another providing insight on the intersections of ability
queer and trans identities. As a member of the executive board of Q+ Community, Adrian works hard to provide a safe and relaxing social space for queer and trans students to come together. Join me in congratulating Adrian McKay. Adrian, would you like to share a few words?
Sure. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's made this dinner possible and to everyone who supported me here at my years at UW Oshkosh. Community is so important and it's indispensable in making change. No person is an island and no change can happen without the hands of many. So, thank you.
All right, so I get to do the last one. So it is my honor to award Adrian Hanrahan with a 2020 Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ scholarship. Adrian is a secondary education English major, a Spanish and social justice minor, and a global scholar and LGBTQ studies certificate student. Adrian, inspired by his mother, began his activism in high school, where he joined their Gender and Sexuality Alliance. Recognizing the stigma and lack of quality health care faced by many with HIV/AIDS and its intersection with addiction and mental health concerns, Adrian focused his activism work on educating about HIV/AIDS. He has raised money for and attended AIDS Walk Wisconsin, participated in World AIDS Day visibility, and contributed to AIDS Resource Center of Wisconsin. Adrian has also written to legislators about the disparities in healthcare access between trans and cis people, working to encourage awareness and menstrual care for non-women. Courtney Bowder tells us, Adrian immediately impressed me as someone who has the combination of skills and sensitivity to be an effective leader on campus. Adrian has been one of the more thoughtful and sensitive students I have ever had the privilege of teaching, and I have high expectations for his success in the future. And Peter German says, if there's one thing I can tell you about Adrian Hanrahan, after all of our time spent together, it is that he would make an excellent teacher. And as a K-12 principal, that is really good to know. So please join me in congratulating Adrian Hanrahan for the Harvey Milk 2020 LGBTQ+.
Adrian, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I just wanted to say this is an incredible honor, of course, and then also just I really appreciate everything that UWO does, and especially the LGBTQ+ Resource Center does to make education accessible to people like me who maybe are lower income or otherwise marginalized. And I think our university definitely does that really well with the LGBTQ+ community in particular, but I definitely see it other places as well, and I just wanted to really highlight that and say how grateful I am for that, because this is what allows me to stay in school and keep making an impact and go along my journey to become a teacher. Yeah, thank you. I love you all, and I'm really grateful for this.
Congratulations, Adrian. All right, well, we are nearing the conclusion of our program this evening. So Liz and I speak for the entire Harvey Milk LGBTQ+ Scholarship Committee when we say thank you for joining us tonight. We hope that next year we will once again be able to meet in person, although this evening's been an interesting, it's been interesting to read the comments on the side. We don't really get to read comments, during in-person ceremony or evening, so it's kind of fun to do that. But anyway, we will end our evening in our traditional tribute to Harvey Milk by playing his Give Them Hope speech.
But first, in memory of Milks reminding us that we must, quote, understand why it's important that gay people run for office and that gay people get elected, we would like to honor the queer and trans people who were elected in the rainbow wave of our recent 2020 election. At least 1,006 ran, 574 appeared on November ballots, and an estimated 171. We did want to recognize one of our own LGBTQIA+ 2009 alumni. In fact, the president of our LGBTQIA+ alumni chapter, John Erickson, was elected to the West Hollywood City Council to serve as an out gay man.
That is amazing news. And now, without further ado, Harvey Milk.
Somewhere in Des Moines or San Antonio, there's a young gay person who all of a sudden realizes that she or he is gay, knows that if the parents find out, they'll be tossed out of the house. The classmates would taunt the child, and the Anita Bryans and John Briggs are doing their bit on TV, and that child had several options: staying in a closet, suicide, and then one day that child might open a paper and it says homosexual elected in San Francisco, and there are two new options. The option is to go to California, stay in San Antonio and fight. 2 days after I was elected, I got a phone call, and the voice was quite young. It was from Altoona, Pennsylvania, and the person said, "Thanks. And you've got to elect gay people so that that young child and the thousands upon thousands like that child know that there's hope for a better world. There's hope for a better tomorrow. Without hope, not only gays, but those blacks and the Asians and the disabled, and the seniors, the us's, without hope, the us's give up. I know that you cannot live on hope alone, but without it, life is not worth living. And you've got to give them hope. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you everyone for coming, and I think Liz has posted the link again to make a donation to our scholarship fund. So if you can be so kind to do that, it would be great. As you can see, it goes for a wonderful cause. And Liz, thank you for inviting me back this year. It's been a fun night, and it's been great to be back with all of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us, Phil. I look forward to us doing it again next year. And I too want to say thank you to everybody who came tonight.